Hello and welcome to my channel, Heal with Asil. My name is Asil, and today I have for you a topic about PCOS and creativity and just what this looks like in the energy body. So I made a video about maybe over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now, and it was called Stop Stifling Your Creativity, and it was for women with PCOS. And the main point is that women who manifest PCOS in their own body. So of course, usually it starts at the energy level and the emotional level, and then it gets down to the physical level. This is how we manifest anything. So when it comes to disease, we always look at the chakra, the main chakra that's involved, and what the energetic and emotional association with it is to identify, okay, what is it that we need to change and bring back to balance in your life so that you can dissolve and resolve this disorder. So for PCOS, it mostly comes down to the sacral chakra. There are others involved, but it really comes down to the sacral, and I think this is an important area to target. And the major emotion for sacral chakra, they can really be, there are a couple, but they're shame, or they are embarrassment, they are guilt. Those are kind of the three main ones. But the purpose of this video is to talk to you about 3 reasons why you might be stifling your creativity, because it's easy to say, like, just stop stifling your creativity, but it's like, well, how am I doing that, right? And how can I change that? And in changing that, you can have a lot of healing happen in the body, because what happens, again, is that when we manifest any kind of disease, it usually starts on the emotional level, which is correlated with the energetic level, and because they both influence each other. And then once we do that long term, it can really slow down the energy enough on the energetic level, create blocks strong enough that over time, the energy just stops flowing there as vitally, as freely, as abundantly. And then we start to, over the years or the months, depending on how strongly you felt this, it starts to turn into a disease or disorder. So in the case of lower sacral chakra energy, and for those who don't know, the sacral chakra sits at around the pelvic area, or just a little bit higher, and it really rules over the energy in the pelvis, in the ovaries, and in the hips. And it's the energy for it is that of joy and of pleasure in our everyday lives. And so women who tend to manifest PCOS are actually tend to be women who are very, very highly creative women, but they have not allowed themselves, for whatever reason, maybe the way they were raised or the things they heard as children. This isn't about blaming anybody, and definitely not blaming the women. But for whatever reason, they haven't allowed themselves to really tap into their creativity, and that stops, that stifling of that creative energy in their body, of that pleasure and that daily joy, really, really, really creates those blocks and those imbalances that eventually manifest as PCOS. So the topic of today's video is 3 ways that you might be stifling your creativity or stopping your creativity, and what to do about them. So just kind of some mindset shift so that you can tap into your creativity, because I'm telling you, it is your biggest gift. And it is one of the major keys for your healing as well, okay? So the first reason why we might be stifling our creativity, and ladies, I've done this a lot before. And if you don't know my story, I've also manifested PCOS and then unmanifested it. And so I'm not just speaking out of thin air here, but this is really like 11 years of learning, of trial and error, of learning energy medicine, of healing my body. And so this is what I'm sharing with you guys, okay? One of the first reasons why we might be stifling our creativity is saying there's no time. Maybe you're doing something and you get this idea, like, wow, it would be really cool to put this together, or to sing this thing, or to dance in this way, or whatever your creative form is. Maybe it's art, maybe it's writing, maybe it's creating videos, whatever. There's like endless ways to be creative. Whatever your creative form is, whatever kind of comes down to you, those ideas that just pop up out of nowhere, those are our creativity really trying to flow through. And one of the biggest things that we can say in those moments to stop our creativity is like, I just don't have time for that. We prioritize everything else, maybe it's work, maybe it's children, maybe it's your health, like making a meal or whatever it is. But when it comes to that thing, you don't see enough value in it. And so you're like, I don't have time, or I'll do it later. Maybe you don't shut it down right away. You're like, I'll do it later. And then you never get to do it. That's you not prioritizing. And the thing is, and I said this in another video, it was about abundance, but it still relates. Whenever there's an idea, there's something that comes through us that wants to be expressed. That's energy that's trying to move in the body. And when we reject it, when we don't allow it to, we're really stifling it, and we're stopping it, and we're stopping that energy flow. Now, doing this once, maybe not the end of the world, but when you're living in this way, when you've been doing this for years and you're not allowing your creative expression, I'm telling you, you ladies who are watching this, who can relate to this, who are facing these issues, you are some of the most creative beings on the planet. And you probably don't believe in you because you haven't allowed yourself to tap into your creativity. And you're like, I don't have that. Maybe you're type A and you're a hard worker and you always prioritize and you have agendas as this is what I got to do. But that's exactly what is stopping you, right? It's that it has to look this way, and I don't have time for that thing that doesn't seem to have much value. But your joy, your creativity, you just letting things come through has so much immense value. There is no words for it, and there's no number you can place on it. So my advice to you, if that's something that comes up for you, that there's no time, make it a priority. Maybe schedule like a half an hour every night before you sleep or after your dinner. You're just going to free flow, right? You're just going to free flow, listen to music and allow that creative space, or play your piano, whatever your creativity is. Maybe you used to love to sing as a child and you don't let yourself do that anymore. Give yourself time once a day or 3 times a week to allow yourself to get into that creative space, because I'm telling you, blocking it is going to be making you sick. Okay. And that might be a big statement, but it's the truth. So allow your creativity to flow through, and don't let no time be an excuse. All you're telling me, or you're telling yourself when you say you have no time, is that it's not important enough, because whatever is important, we make time for. And there's nothing more important than your health and your joy and your pleasure. And that is how we heal the sacral chakra, is allowing our pleasure and our joy to come through, and our creativity. Number 2 is this idea of perfection. So a lot of you who, might have manifested PCOS in your body probably are more type A. And I know that because one of the ways that PCOS manifests is it's a block in the sacral chakra. It's a contraction. It's a holding back in the sacral, which is the area of like free flowing fun, pleasure, creativity. It's a block in that energy. And it's a very heightened masculine energy, which is go, I gotta get this done. Very, very, very productive, very logical, very type A. And that's good to some extent. We all need that. But when that's ruling your life, when it's creating imbalance in how you're being and how you're living, and it eventually shows in your energetic field and in your emotional field, and then manifests as PCOS in the body, it can manifest in different ways, but one of the ways is PCOS. It's a complete rejection of feminine energy and a living and embodying of masculine energy for way too long. And one of the ways you know that is you start to have higher testosterone levels. You start to maybe experience hair loss. You start to experience these like male things. And again, this isn't to point fingers at anybody or to make you wrong in any way. Quite the opposite. It's just simply to awaken you to how much that rejection of the feminine energy has happened subconsciously. This all happens in the subconscious. You don't realize you're doing this, of course. We live in a society that places a lot of value on like masculine type things, like your career and how productive you are and how go you are. And if you sit down and chill and relax, like a lot of us don't know how to do that. And these things are considered low value things. That's a whole other conversation that I might make a video on, but really the patriarchy is also reflected in what we value. And a lot of things that we value are the masculine types of ways. And because you're such a go-getter and you're such an ambitious person and you care so much about your life and your goals, maybe that could also have gone overbalanced. So that's no longer balanced, and into a point where You've unconsciously rejected that feminine energy. So what does it have to do with perfection? Well, that way of living is really a very perfectionistic way of living. And it's very much of like, I'm not allowed to make mistakes, or I'm not allowed to redo this. Um, Let me just, I don't have time, right? I need to keep going. I have so many other things to do. So let me do this and keep going. But the thing with that is it really stifles our creativity, because creativity is the opposite of perfection. There's no rules in creativity. Maybe in math class or in school, you were like a straight A student and you were always able to get the right answer and learn exactly what you're supposed to do a thing and then do it. And you just got really conditioned into that way of living. And so now when I'm telling you, go be creative, go do this, go do that, and you're like, okay, I did it, but I don't know if I did it right. A, there was no one to tell me if it was right or wrong. There's no validation. And B, like, okay, what am I supposed to do with it? Um, the thing with creativity is there is no right or wrong. It's probably going to look or sound like funny, and maybe you can say ugly at first. I don't know how you judge it, but that's creativity, right? It's never meant to be perfect. It's never meant to have what do they call it? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's never meant to appeal to every single person. Maybe it doesn't even appeal to you, especially if you're first getting back into it after a long time. Maybe you're looking at it and you're like, no. But don't let that voice of self-sabotage stop you, because that is self-sabotage. That is the stifling of that creative energy. Creativity is about the joy of doing the thing. So maybe you're singing and your like sound is way off. Don't let that stop you. Or you're drawing and your drawings and you're like, I suck at this. I used to be so good when I was a kid and now I suck at this. What's happened? Don't let that stop you. Enjoy the actual process of doing it. One thing that comes to mind is, I don't know if you've ever seen Taylor Swift. I love Taylor Swift. Her like behind the scenes of making a song. And there's a couple of videos like that on YouTube, and these are like hit songs. And when I'm watching it, the first couple of times that she's recorded it, like on her iPhone or whatever, she's like recorded the song. Yeah, she got a really good idea. She recorded it. If you listen to it, you're like, oh my God, this doesn't sound anything like how it sounds, the version that came out. And you might even say it sounds bad, or it sounds unprofessional, or it sounds like, hey, I could do this myself at home. And this is a mega star whose creativity has gotten her so far in this life. But this is literally how it starts. And then she goes and she shows it to the producers or whoever at the studio, and then they add sounds to it, and then they add, backup vocals, and they add this and they add that. And then eventually it sounds like an amazing song and it makes millions of dollars. Um, so the idea of creativity is it's never about it being perfect right away. It's never about it looking or sounding good right away. It's just allowing the thing to flow through you. You got an idea, write it down. You got this, and you don't have to release it. You don't have to do anything with it like that, but just allow yourself to enjoy that process of letting that energy free flow through you, letting it come out through you, not just stay inside. So do not let perfectionism stop you. This isn't math class. This isn't science. This isn't even English class where you have to do a million drafts and then the final essay that you submit is like perfected in every way. I remember I used to be such a perfectionist, and there wasn't going to be a single spelling mistake, and there wasn't going to be a single grammar error, typo or whatever, because that's how you get the A plus. And I was really particular about that, and you might be able to relate to this. This isn't like any of that. This is literally just enjoyment of the process and allowing that creative energy to flow through you. Okay. Number 3, the third way we might be stifling our creativity and our self-expression. I don't know if I mentioned it in this video, but our sacral chakra is very related to our throat chakra. And the throat is all about self-expression and communication. And so it's really allowing what comes through the sacral, that creative energy and that free flow, to actually allow to come out of the mouth. And it doesn't have to be like singing or speaking, even through writing. That's expression, right? So it doesn't, just because it's the throat, it doesn't mean it's actually spoken. It can be expressed in any way, but it's allowing that expression, that flow to come all the way out and through the body. The third way we might stop or stifle our creativity is self-criticism. And this is the sneaky one. This might not be super obvious, but self-criticism is like whenever even if you finally allow yourself to get creative and get in that space of like, okay, I'm just going to give myself a half an hour to just have fun, and whatever comes out, comes out. And then when you look at what comes out, you're like, oh my God, that's horrible. That's not good enough. That is or like you have this beautiful thing that maybe you've recorded and you're on your Instagram story and you want to post it. And then you look at it a little bit more and you're like, no, 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 no. People are going to say this about that, or people are going to say that. The fear of what others are going to think, that really closes our throat chakra and our creativity and our expression. So many things, right? There's so many ways you can unconsciously be self-critical. Maybe it's things that you've heard growing up. Usually it's that way, actually, that you've heard these things growing up, people being criticized in a certain way by people who you really care about and value, and they stuck with you. That voice stuck with you. And now whenever you see someone express themselves in that way, you're like, oh yeah, but this, and you hear that voice again. So it doesn't matter what it sounds like, what it looks like, but self-criticism is something that really stops our creative flow. And again, it's that idea of it's not good enough. This is, this, I can't share this. I can't put my name on it, especially again, because most of us are like pretty type A. We're always used to doing really well. And then you look at something that comes out of our creative expression, especially at first, when it's not going to be so good. Maybe for the first 2 years, it's not going to be so good. And then you're like, oh my God, like there's no way I can put my name on that. There's no way I say that came from me, even if it's just in front of your family or in front of your close friends, right? Or even to yourself. Some of us, even to ourselves, we're too, embarrassed by it to even like acknowledge that, yeah, this is something that I produced. So if that's something that stops you, then just call it out, see it for what it is, and just notice that these are ways that I am stifling my own creativity. Creativity was never about perfection. Creativity was never about, making it something to make you look better. When it's that way, then it's the ego being involved. In the ego, in the spiritual world, in the life coaching world, this is your voice of self-sabotage. And we don't want you to self-sabotage. We want you to heal and be in joy and be in pleasure and have really healthy energy pulsating through your body and be energetic and be able to wake up excited, and have positive thoughts about yourself and about other people, and be able to manifest amazing things in your life, a good career, a good family, whatever it is that you want, right? So notice if any of these 3 patterns come up for you as you are being creative, or as an idea just pops into your head, a creative idea, and just how you carry it through all the way to the end, or do you stop yourself? Know that one of the things, and with PCOS, it can be several things. One of the biggest things that can manifest PCOS in the body is that contraction of the sacral energy. And that's that same contraction of our creative life force, of our beautiful, beautiful energy. The sacral chakra energy is one of the most beautiful ones because it is that energy of joy and of pleasure. And to think about those moments when you are living in joy and pleasure. Think about just how awesome you felt and how amazing you felt, amazing people around you felt as a result of your own energy. And I did also want to mention that I've opened up a PCOS energetic and emotional health coaching container. So it'll be 4 weeks, and we'll go into it's 60-minute sessions, one-on-one, you and I. We can go specifically into your own situation, when this illness or disorder started to manifest, and we'll start to clear away the energetic blocks that have created this, and really, really help to unleash all of this heaviness from your body and your energy system. You can come back to health and full vitality. So I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.